For playing a Babymetal song.
Yeah, for playing a Babymetal song. That'll be 15 seconds of Babymetal.
Copyright.
And copy. That'll be this video now copyrighted.
Rico management.
Yeah. So here we go. I got some special guests on today with Jamie, who is the man, the myth, the legend himself, who knows all there is to know about SG, and also the host himself, Paul. The podcast is named after him, Paulcast. We're going to be talking about some SG stuff today. So this will be the first stream, first podcast in all the podcasts we've ever done. This is unscheduled. This is unplanned. The plan for this episode was we're just going to talk. We're just going to chill out. We're just going to have a really, really cool time. We're going to remember some of the best moments of Sakura Gakuin. Maybe talk about what's happening moving forward as well. But just general to have a really, really kind of chilled out show today and just talk about everything that we can do. So if there's any subjects that you guys in chat want to bring up, please let us know in the chat, and then obviously we'll pick up little things as we go along that we can talk about. So feel free to ask questions and get involved, guys. But so this is a special Sakura Gakuin episode. It feels a bit weird because this is the first episode that we've done, which is not wholly focused on Babymetal. So we'll start off with Jamie, because I know that everybody in the chat has been absolutely dying to hear and see Jamie this whole entire week. So tell me, my man, where did the love for Sakura Gakuin start? What's the story?
So for me, it's sort of similar to a lot of fans in the West, and I came to them through Babymetal. So yeah, I sort of first came across Babymetal sort of way back in a 2014, 2015 time when they were sort of starting to blow up outside Japan. But I was very much a sort of casual fan back then. Yeah. I didn't really sort of properly become committed until Papaya dropped in 2019, and from then on I just sort of dove in straight away, and it wasn't long afterwards that I decided to check out some Sakura Gakuin. I was just sort of on YouTube one day and I saw that music video for My Graduation Toss was in my recommended videos. I saw Sue in the thumbnail. That was enough for me to check it out. And after one play, I thought, this is pretty good. I'm gonna have to listen to more. Yeah. So yeah, that's where it began for me.
Nice. What about you, Paul? I imagine it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the classic. I guess introduction to SG through Babymetal. Discovered Babymetal in around, I would say, March of 2014, and got into SG then maybe a couple of months later. I guess when you see a band like Babymetal, your first kind of thought is like, how did this happen? What is the origin of this? You really want to know. So you inevitably fall into the SG world when you go to find out the origins of Babymetal, and that was my main motivation for becoming an SG fan or following SG, was to learn how Sue, Yui, and Moa got to this point. So when you're watching them and you're learning about their rise through SG, you get to know the other members, and you get to get fond of SG and the concept and the Nendos and the concerts and the music, and it's fun, happy, cheerful music and nice to listen to. So yeah, through Babymetal, and it just went from there. Yeah.
Cool. I had a slightly different experience. I obviously was doing a lot of Sakura Gakuin stuff through reactions on top of my fall down to Babymetal. So I actually it was kind of like side by side as I was going through it. So I never, unlike you guys, where it was like Babymetal first, then Sakura Gakuin. For me, it was backwards and forwards all the time as I was falling down the foxhole. So I tend to do quite both. Also, there's a lot of people in chat telling you, Paul, that it's Babymetal. There's a metal.
Don't make fun of my Irish accent. What did I say?
It's nice. Usually the chat's going on about how I mispronounce things, so it's makes a nice change.
I pronounced it right. Fuck you.
And now we're definitely getting demonetized for this video. All right, so what was your probably favorite time then, Jamie, of the eras? Would it be obviously the baby metal era, or did it become its own thing for you?
Yeah, so for me, Sakura Gakuin is sort of divided into kind of two very much distinct eras. There's the sort of baby metal era, so up to the end of the 2014 Nendo, and then from the 2015 Nendo onwards, largely just because from the 2015 Nendo onwards, kind of two big things happened. One was that half of the members that year were transfers, so it was so the group looked very different, but it also sort of changed the way that it worked, because you then had fewer original songs every year. But you also had the weekly live show with Low Girl and then later Fresh. So it sort of had less of an emphasis on the music in the second half and more of an emphasis on just entertainment and performance in the second half. And I think actually in the second half, the group as a whole became, I think, more entertaining to watch. So, you sort of found that they were sort of playing up to their sort of like onstage personalities and onstage personas a little bit more. I think the skits became a little bit, funnier. So yeah, you found better actors in the second half. There's more sort of variety in performance, whereas in the first half, were very much a sort of a kind of strict, kind of idol music group. So although the music and the singing might have been sort of better in the first half, for overall entertainment value, I think the second half, the second era of Sakura Gakuin probably edges it, just because it's a better kind of more rounded overall sort of product.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
So what about for you, Paul? Same question.
Well, I mean, the baby metal era stands out, I guess so much for me because of my love for baby metal and the impact it's had on my life. So I know it's in the SG community, it's kind of frowned upon to talk too much about the original era. You get labeled a golden ager, or someone who thinks that SG was only ever good when it had Sue, Yui, and Moa. But I would say that obviously that's going to stand out as the main era, but I feel like through music the SG is kind of defined into two eras as well. So you have like the original era, which a lot of people call the baby metal era, but then like after Yui and Moa left, there was two of the transfer ins. I believe in the next transfer in was Kano and Soyoka. They came in like two. They kind of came in like Yui and Moa came in like just two little girls that were like super cute but super energetic and had tons of personality and you really kind of felt that they were going to become the new face of SG in the second half, shall we say. And they really were, because I feel they kind of defined the post baby metal era SG, that they were there for the next 5 years up until they graduated just last year. And they've had a big impact in terms of their character, their talent, their personality, and how they kind of connected together. Like Soyo Kano was a kind of a team together, similar to like Moi or Yui and Moa. So it was kind of the next generation, and they've since come together with two other members, Momoe and Tsugumi, to form 1-5, which is, I guess you could say, baby metal is the first era of SG. The band that came from that, the band that came from the second era of SG is 1-5. So I guess you kind of can say 1-5 era, baby metal era, or if you want to divide it that way. But that I guess that kind of that's kind of not fair on the other members that came through throughout that time, because it's not just baby metal in 1-5. There's so many people and members that have come through and gone on to be very successful. So to answer the question, baby metal era. But then I would agree with Jamie in saying that in the second half, although it was kind of less music and less subunit orientated, the members were like more well-rounded. What I mean, they were like, say singers, dancers, actors, and it was more polished in the second half, whereas they were kind of still trying to get their footing in the early days. And you can see some of the very early days. It's a little bit rough because they were just
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
like
figuring
the
out.
stuff in the 2010 Nintendo is really rough around the
Yeah, like
edges.
the first couple of years, like they were playing in just small little venues, and they didn't have all the same outfits even at the very beginning, and it was just kind of little growing pains at the start. But it became a more kind of polished, more professional unit in the second half of the SG time. So yeah,
Fair enough.
yourself,
Yeah, I
Neon.
mean, I think it's a
Let
real
us know.
shame when,
Yeah, go ahead.
when Baby Metal fans they sort of check out Sakura Gakuin because that's where kind of Sue, Moa, and Yui got their start, but they never really sort of delved beyond kind of what they did up until Yui and Moa graduated. They never really go beyond
Yeah,
that, which is a shame because there's a lot of really good stuff and that they've done and that they're missing out on if
yeah.
they don't look at that stuff.
And to be
Yeah.
fair, like I
Sorry.
okay.
Go on, man.
No, so for me, like as well, I kind of went away from SG a little bit after, well, not straight away after Yui and Moa left, but maybe about a year later. And then I kind of came back to it again. And then what triggered that was seeing Momoko and Kano, working with Babymetal. That kind of got me like back into SG, and yeah, I picked up on watching back on some Momoko stuff that I'd missed, and I kind of really focused on Kano's last year, and she became like probably my favorite person of the new era SG, shall we say? So, yeah, what's that?
All right. Okay. Just making sure.
I had something to get off my chest there. It just had to be said.
I think I'm one of the relative few people that I very much dislike the term baby metal era because pretty much what Jamie said. There's so many other girls and stuff around that section, and there is a worrying trend, I would say, where a lot of people went for Yui, Moa, and Sue because of the origins of baby metal, and I would say that they're probably, as much as I love SG throughout the years, there was a bit of a drop off point after those girls left, and I think it shows the how good SG is, that I think over the years they've brought people back regardless of who's in the lineup, but it definitely dropped off a little bit there, and has come back, which is.
Yeah.
It's like a double-sided coin. It's obviously people love that era because of baby metal. Because let's not kid ourselves there. As mean as that is with to the other girls that were there at the time, that was the draw. And it's a shame. It's a shame when they left. That obviously, like you just said, you've admitted yourself, Paul, that a lot of people kind of left and stuff. For that. So it was. I don't know. I don't like the terminology of like baby metal era and stuff like that, because I just feel it's a little bit ingenuous, but I get why people do it, because for you said, for a lot of people it is solely because of those girls more than the rest. Which I definitely feel like is
just a point on that though. Like I think they understood their impact in it, and I think I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think because Moa was the president of her senior year in Endo, she said something at her graduation or one of the events towards the end, that she was kind of pleading with the Fukai, the fans, to kind of keep supporting SG after she left and Yui left, because she knew that with her and Yui leaving, that was kind of the end of the Baby Metal Association with SG, and they were a little bit kind of worried that maybe they would just be like a total drop off, like. So she was kind of saying to fans, like kind of pleading with them in a way, please still keep supporting us. Kind of, she didn't say it, but even though me and Yui are gone, you guys should still, you still love SG and still follow them. So they kind of understood their influence, and that there would be a bit of a drop off. But they just kind of damage limitation, pleaded with fans to keep supporting SG even though it doesn't have the two biggest stars, I guess you could say, in it. Yeah.
I think, like I said,
Yeah, I think it was I think it was Yui that said in one of the sort of early Low Girl episodes that she was sort of hoping that Baby Metal's international success would lead people to discover Sakura Gakuin. She was hoping that
Which it
it
did.
would.
It did.
Yeah,
To a certain extent.
it definitely did. So I think it would make sense to sort of have them sort of specifically ask the fans as they were leaving the group to continue supporting them. But I mean, I think that was sort of a common theme with every graduation. I think every graduating class sort of ask the fans to continue to support them after the group after they were
Sure.
gone.
Sure. Absolutely.
But like I said, as time's gone on, though, the group showed that they could endure. I would argue they're probably just as popular now as they probably were back then, which is really weird. It definitely feels like there was a drop-off point after the Baby Metal. Once people had got that Baby Metal drop-off out of the system, people have started coming back. And I feel like that over the years, again, now we're starting to see a more of a increase, I think, of attention on SG.
Yeah.
So it definitely feels like without that initial Baby Metal surge, that this is definitely a group that could have lasted on their own regardless. So maybe
I mean, they definitely got their name out there through Baby Metal, and Baby Metal has been great for SG. It's been a fantastic for SG. I don't know how long SG would have lasted without Baby Metal, or how many fans they would have had, because idol groups don't really last that long unless they have a bit of buzz. Baby Metal gave them that buzz, so maybe that gave them a longer period of time to live. Who knows?
Well, this is what I'm going to drop into. Paul's just said that he doesn't think they would have lasted without the Baby Metal buzz. I'm going to say differently. I don't think there's anything else like I was going to say Baby Metal then, like SG out there at the minute. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. If anybody wants to correct me in the comments, but they offer such a unique experience that you don't see that with many other places, especially to do with like. The family and the girls all coming together in the events and the way that they do the music videos and stuff. I literally can't think of anything else. There's a lot of events where that you make a girl group and these girls come in, but it's not the same. It's not the same. SG is very unique in the way that it does things. I would
Yeah.
Because I mean, you need to think about why the group was set up in the first place. Like it wasn't set up to be massive commercial success. It was set up to, to train the young girls for a
Period of
career
growth.
in entertainment. So, in terms of commercial success, it only needed to do well enough for them to have a crowd to perform to.
Yeah.
They didn't need to be like topping the charts with every release. They didn't need to be doing that. All they needed was to get a couple of hundred people through the door, and they massively sort of outperformed that. I mean, even sort of 5 years on from Yui and Moa leaving, they could still play to really quite big theaters in Japan. Like a couple of thousand people.
Yeah. Decent size. Yeah.
It's a fair point to be made as well. I'm just reading the comments now. I know Paul's gonna have a smile on his face, but there is a point. We make it sound like Baby SG owes their popularity to Baby Metal, but it is in fact, the other way around. Realistically, SG started the Baby Metal trend through the the sub group, and that eventually went off and did. Really freaking well. I don't think anybody could have seen how well they did. They would end to do. So it's actually the other way around. You Lucky's like units. Thank you, Lucky. I was struggling to find the word. I was like,
with that, I saw that comment there. I think there's a difference between owing your start and owing your popularity. Yes, Baby Metal owe their beginnings to SG. But how many of us here who are Baby Metal fans, let's be honest, would know about SG if we hadn't discovered them through Baby Metal. I think
Exactly.
that number is tiny. So, in terms of popularity, yes, Baby Metal did put SG on the map in terms of the amount of people that were exposed to SG and subsequently became fans of SG. Well, there's a difference there. Yeah.
That's a fair assessment. I would definitely say now as well. Like I said, over the years, there's definitely been a steady uprise, and I think popularity of SG now. I tend to see them. I don't know if it's just because of the stuff that I do, but I tend to see them a lot more now. Whether or not it be on the internet or through different factions and stuff like that. It just they seem to be around. I don't know if again that could just be because I hang around with what I do on a daily basis talking about them, but I see them a lot more than I ever did in the last 2-3 years, a lot more now. But the question I'm going to ask is it the right time for them to end? Do we think? I mean, some of the girls coming through, like Yumi, for example, seem like they have a vast amount of potential to carry this on for ages. Is this a natural end, or is this is this a COVID thing? Do we reckon? Is this a label running out of money? Needed to make a decision, do we reckon?
You want to go, Jamie?
Nope. Jamie's cut out there. Do you want to leave the call, Jamie, and come back in, my man? You've cut out.
Yeah, sure.
And then just as I say that, we could hear him.
Yeah.
Typical.
Let him come back in.
Is that better?
There we go. Yes, let's take over.
Okay. So we were talking about why they might have decided to close. So yeah, I was saying I think it's sort of natural to think that COVID might have had a part in it, but I don't think it's the full story because when they announced that it was closing, they gave it sort of like a 1 year stay of execution on.
Yeah.
Almost. If it was just purely to do with COVID, they would have just wound things up straight away after that graduation. Is that right? Yeah, we're done. And then after COVID, they could sort of just bring it back. But what the statement that they released said was that they wanted to move towards kind of more individualized training, which I think might actually make a lot of sense because. Sakura Gakuin, even though it has sort of branched out into other things, still at its core is a music group. But a lot of the members that have sort of come through in recent years have not really expressed an interest in going into the music industry after they graduate. You know, some of them want to be actors, some of them want to be models. So, you know, you then need to ask whether having them in an idol group is the best way to prepare them for that career, and you know it might not. But having said that, I mean, Amuse have had projects to sort of train their junior talent before. I mean, I think 20 odd years ago they did one that sort of gave rise to Perfume, and they've had massive success. So who knows? Like
Absolutely.
a few years down the line, there could be something else that gets launched, but it won't be Sakura Gakuin. It'll be something else. And there's another thing as well. I have a sneaking. There's a little thought in my head that says that perhaps Principal Kurumoto is getting old now, and sort of perhaps he wants to retire, and maybe the staff just sort of don't want to carry it on without him. I mean, maybe that's a factor as well. But I don't think it's entirely due to COVID.
Yeah, like I would pretty much agree with everything Jamie said there. I think it probably is a little bit more kind of COVID related because Amuse seems to be changing a lot recently. They made announcements that they're changing their whole kind of strategy, and they're kind of consolidating certain departments and creating new ones, and there's been some layoffs, and they plan on moving their headquarters out to the middle of nowhere for some bizarre reason. So Muse is kind of restructuring. I think when they were restructuring, they were kind of thinking like, what are we gonna bring forward, and what are we gonna let go? So maybe they saw like SG as kind of an inefficient way of like nurturing young talent. So that's why they're moving more towards a tailored approach rather than just a general group. Like if you look back on SG, like there wasn't much point in having Ayaka and Irie, who were obviously brought in to be models, doing singing and dancing because that wasn't they're going to be their jam, At the same time, like Sue obviously was going to be a singer, so I think some members go in with kind of an express idea as to what they're going to do. Are they going to be in the music business? Are they going to be actors? Are they going to be models? And they were just kind of all doing the same thing. I think it's good that they're kind of going to be a tailor-made program for everyone. So COVID, I think, had an impact on it. If you just allow me to finish, COVID had an impact because basically they couldn't do shows, and they do very few shows. So I think maybe a combination of
like 10 a year or something, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe a combination of rethinking how they were going to, go about nurturing talent going forward, and then COVID kind of ruined doing shows for them. So the two together were like, okay, let's kind of wrap this up and change our approach going forward. So
COVID might have forced their hand, but I think sort of closing it was probably on the cards anyway.
Yeah, I think they were probably going to do it, but COVID probably just pushed it forward and say, okay, this is now that we can't do shows, this is the time to make a change. So I think it was a decision on that basis more so than anything. But to answer Leon's question, he asked about the current members and were they talented enough to continue on? Absolutely. Like I think Yume is super talented, or Yumi, sorry, is super talented. Miko, they have some real gems there, and I'm looking forward to see what they do in the future. It's disappointing for them that SG had to finish because they wanted to have their time period in SG. They wanted to have their senior year and be president and graduate and have all of the nice things that previous Nindos had. But that's unfortunately cut short now, which is disappointing. But it's not the end for these current members. I think if they want to keep going and keep having a career, if they want to keep having a career in the entertainment business, I think Amuse will kind of work with them in that. It's not the end for them. It's the end of SG, but it's not the end for the current members, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we're already sort of seeing a couple of them sort of branching out into other things. So like Yume is obviously fronting this sort of new YouTube channel that are and like Neo's, she's got kind of modeling work. She's sort of taken over from Soyo at the company that she was modeling at. She's been in some adverts as well. Like she's been in like a Digimon advertising campaign. I mean, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. And like she's doing stuff, and like as you said, Yume is with her sister Juna, and or Yuna, I don't know how it's pronounced, but they're doing like their own like YouTube series, and they have Instagram, they have TikTok, and I think they're kind of building their own little brand. So the future's bright. Like I think it is sad that it's ending, and it was 10 amazing years, but it's not over for the current crop. They have a future too, So.
Yeah, definitely.
Are we expecting anything for the last show? I know tomorrow is second from last show, so we've not got long to wait until we see that. But for the actual last show itself, are you expecting anything to see anything within realistically?
Not really. I mean, I think everybody would want to see like an appearance from the graduates and everything, but I think for the most part it's actually going to look like a normal graduation show. Yeah. You're going to see a set list with like lots of songs. You can probably take a guess at what a few of them are going to be because there's only sort of been a limited number of songs that they're able to rehearse. So songs that they've sort of been performing throughout the 2020 Nendo, a lot of them will probably come back. You'll probably see a few sort of graduation staples. Like I would expect to hear School Days, I would expect to hear My Graduation Toss, I would expect to hear Tabidachi no Hini, and I would expect the final song to be Yumeni Mukate. I won't accept anything other than that to be the final song.
It has to be. You can't do another one.
Yeah, exactly. But what I think the biggest change for the final show is going to be sort of graduation ceremony and the speeches itself. Because normally they sort of hand over the diplomas to to the graduates, but they're all going to get one this time, and then they do the soji from the kind of continuing members, and then the response from the graduating members. They can't do that this time because they're all graduating. There are no continuing members, so instead you're probably going to have speeches from Kuramoto, Mori Sensei, and probably Kokuna as well as the final president. And they'll address those comments probably to each other, the staff, and the Fuke as well. And basically say, thank you for all your support over, over these 10 years. But yeah, if you're expecting sort of like Yui to come back, or to have like all 36 members on stage for a rendition of Friends or something, I think you're going to be disappointed. I think that's unlikely to happen.
Yeah. Like, I would agree with Jamie there. I think it is going to be pretty straightforward. You're not going to have like a big reunion. And I think part of the reason for that is they want the current members to have their moment, like to have their graduation, and not for that to be overshadowed by it becoming a whole reunion show. I think they kind of covered so I think they kind of covered the former members in the 10th anniversary book. So a book came out recently. Recently in the last few months, where they had like comments from all of the graduated members over the years. So I think that book is kind of the coming together of everyone, whereas the graduation is going to be for the 8 remaining members, and it's going to be quite straightforward with those few changes there, because you're not introducing a new area, it's finalized. So I'd agree with pretty much everything Jamie said on that. It's going to be, it's not going to be a big reunion thing. I think what you might get is like maybe the camera pans to, and maybe some of the former members in the sitting in the audience or something like that. But that'll just be like a glimpse thing. It won't be really part of the show here. And we don't even know if there's going to be people in attendance, because things are really picking up, in a bad way in Japan in terms of like COVID cases. Like, they're putting back in states of emergency because the Olympics is fucking up things now. It looks like you might not even have people in attendance at the last graduation.
Yeah, I mean,
which is sad.
The concert tomorrow is due to have a crowd there, and the last open classes they were able to have a crowd. But the last show is still about a month away.
So things could change.
The situation is in Tokyo, then it's I think it's very much up
things
in
are
the
getting
air.
worse. Things are getting worse. Like, I think state of emergency is coming back in, so that could, regrettably, ruin the last chance for the fans in Japan to see them in person, which is very sad. But
it is very sad, because I mean, deservedly so. The last image of Sakura Gakuin should be that sea of pink of people like waving the flags at the end of Yumeni Mukate. That should be the final image of Sakura Gakuin. And if they can't have a crowd, then they don't get that. I mean, so many sort of former members have sort of spoken about how much they enjoy sort of seeing that sea of pink of just like a crowd of fans all holding the flag. And it would be a real shame if they don't get that on the final show. So
it would be. Do you reckon? Obviously, after the final show next month, do you reckon that will be it? Do you reckon we might get something? I don't know, in a year's time, maybe a one-off song, maybe, or something like that, or do you reckon that will be it?
Who would be on it though?
I don't know. You could have a mixed match of the girls that are in it now that maybe haven't graduated. I don't know. It could be anything. You could do something.
I would expect a final DVD. I would expect a final DVD at some point down the line. I would expect the final show, and maybe even the sort of kind of final series of shows, to be released as a DVD, and that I think will probably be the last release that they do.
Yeah.
I mean, every other graduation has been released on DVD, so it would make sense.
I think you could get maybe one more like break off group from SG, like we've spoken about, Babymetal and 1-5. Like, if there's enough members out of the 8 remaining that are kind of inclined towards a career in the music business, I think Miko is definitely a real talent that you could maybe put at the centerpiece of a trio, or you could maybe get
You could
one
put
more group
Miki
out
with
of
her
it.
as well. I mean, she's turned into a real powerhouse.
I think you could have like Miko and Miki and maybe like Sakia. You could maybe put those three together in a music type group. So I think Sakia is kind of music orientated too. Like she's appeared in a bunch of music videos,
Yeah.
most notably for Perfume. So I think she would quite
Have to
like to
throw
be in
Yume in
in
there
a
as
pop
well if
group.
you've got Sakia.
Yeah, see the thing with Yume, and I think the thing that she's doing with her sister is kind of they're going to do that. I don't know will she break off from that to be like in a new cut off trio, because like that would be kind of perfect to have like Yume, Sakia, and maybe Miko as the centerpiece. But I think Yume and her sister kind of have their own thing going on now, so maybe that's hard to break up. But yeah, Miki, she's a talent. So we'll see.
Yeah, I
I
mean
think there's the
they've
makings of a
definitely
group
got.
there.
Yeah, definitely. They've definitely got the makings of a group. I mean, there's plenty of other sort of amused kids talent as well outside of Sakura Gakuin. So, like Chow Smiles was
Yeah.
a thing. So it wouldn't need to be exclusively Sakura Gakuin people. Like you could have, perhaps Miko, Miki, and somebody
Yeah.
from from outside. Like like a lot of people talk about. I think Lilian Roy, who was in Chow Smiles.
Yeah. Naomi Claire.
Yeah, her too. So yeah, I mean, if they wanted to put together another group, then they've definitely got the talent for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But maybe they're sort of wanting to focus on pushing 1-5 at the moment because they
Yeah.
haven't exactly taken off yet.
No, and the thing with 1-5 is like they haven't yet broken the mold. You can tell that they're trying, and Muse is trying everything they can to like make them more mainstream. But it still seems that they only have the SG fan base behind them, and just maybe a few extras. But they haven't, I guess, become more mainstream yet. I think they're trying to be Perfume or go the Perfume direction, but they're just not there yet, and it's going to take a bit of time. I think they can get there. They have a lot of potential, very talented, good songs. Yeah, they'll get there. I think so.
Yeah, you need to remember that they're still very, very young. I mean, they're all 16 years old.
Some of them are 17 now, I think. Soyo 17 and
Yeah.
Kana will be 17 soon. So yeah,
Yeah,
There's that as well.
yeah. They've got time.
yeah, absolutely.
They got time. I just want to say what a massive, obviously, responsibility it is now for the girls that are obviously going to shoehorn us into the end of SG. A big shout out. Who's the class president at the moment? It's Coco now, isn't it?
Yeah, she's the president.
Yeah, she's the
Kokona.
president. So this is gonna be a massive thing for her now because
Huge.
she's gonna be the last ever class president coming into this group. You would imagine that she's gonna have probably a substantial, massive speech, which is gonna end us all in massive puddles of tears. Yeah. So that's
Yeah, in
a
fact,
massive weight.
what Coconuts going to have to do, what Coconut's going to have to do is she is going to have to basically hold the entire thing together throughout the whole performance because emotions are going to be running really high. I mean, the closest thing that's ever sort of happened before with SG, I think, was the final song at the 2012 graduation when they're I think we've all seen the video. They're performing My Graduation Toss. Literally everybody is falling to pieces, and Sue is there in the center, just trying to hold it all together. I think Koken is going to have to pull off something similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree. Like, I mean, I completely agree. Like, she's going to have to do. He's going to have to do a Suzuka job, like, because literally, like you just mentioned there, Jamie, like, the 2012 graduation was intense, like, because like Sue had such a big impact on SG, and like she was the only person graduating. Well, I know Mariri also graduated, but that didn't really feel like a proper graduation because she was kind of leaving early. It was really Sue's graduation, and they were absolutely devastated that she was leaving because it felt like the end of this era because this huge influential person, this president was leaving. Kokona is going to have to carry a lot of weight now because she's closing out everything. So, like Jamie said, emotions are going to be high because Sakia is going to be in bits. I don't think she's going to be able to sing or talk because she was getting emotional even last year when they just announced that there was a year left. So she'll be inconsolable now when it's all going to end. They all will. I think there's going to be massive emotions on the last show, and Kokona is going to have to be the leader that holds that together. So yeah, to answer that question, yeah, she has a big responsibility, and I think she can do it. She's a strong person. Probably the right choice for president, even though personally I prefer Sana. But I think Kokona is she's the right person, and she'll do a good job and close it out in a way that's fitting for the end of SG.
Yeah, but that's the good thing about the whole sort of ethos of Sakura Gakuin. They're all gonna lean on each other for support and help each other out as much as possible. So although Coconut is going to have to show leadership, the others are going to try and
Absolutely.
help her as much as they can.
Yeah. So obviously, kind of leading up to now as well. I think one of the people that obviously tends to hide their emotions, and I think it's going to be a really, really hard one for them. Mori Sensei.
Absolutely.
What does this mean for him
He's
in
going to be
particular?
crushed.
He will be crushed. I think he will.
Yeah. He's going to be torn up because he represents like the presidents represent their Nendo and their year, but for me he represents the whole thing because he's the only the only SG girl that's been there from day one, and he's going to be there and the last minute. So,
Best girl.
yeah, best girl.
That's
So,
what Mori said.
over the time, like he has developed this like this friendship, this relationship with all of the members, and even now he hangs out with the members of the past. Like you see him, your picture with him, and you're doing a radio show with Ayami. I think he appeared on her show. He's done like little bits with Ayaka. I think they sometimes meets up with Suzuka and the Fab Four for drinks sometimes. So he's kept in touch with all of them, and he kind of watches over them as almost like a father type figure. So
and they still refer to him as Sensei as well.
Sensei, yeah, like he really does love them all as people and as performers, and there's a mutual respect there. So when it all comes to an end, I think he's going to be pretty torn up as well.
Yeah.
He does try to hide his emotions.
His interview.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, his interview in the 10th anniversary book was actually really interesting. Because he said that he is basically sort of like hired talent in the same way that the girls are. He's not like an amused staff member or anything like that. He said that he originally thought that he would sort of step back and basically resign from Sakura Gakuin after Yui and Moa graduated, because obviously they were like the youngest right at the start. But sort of as it sort of went on and sort of new girls started coming in, and he started forming attachments to them as well. Is that he decided that he couldn't resign. He wanted to stay on and sort of stay with them and sort of see how they grew as well.
Yeah. I think his initial fears there, though, Jamie, were that he wouldn't connect as well maybe with a totally new group, because he started off with the originals, and Yui and Moore were the last originals to leave. So maybe he was kind of thinking, well, am I going to be able to kind of connect with an entirely new group in the same way that we had the great vibes with the previous ones? But I'm absolutely delighted that he stayed, and he developed that kind of dynamic with Kano and Soyo. Like I mentioned, Kano and Soyo there as the start of the new era. Like Kano was brilliant in way she kind of sparred with with Mori, and they kind of had this kind of love-hate relationship where she kind of made fun of him a little bit, and he kind of gave like jibes at her, and they had a whole kind of nice little vibe going. So that really helped that he had a strong personality like Kano to kind of build that new connection with a new group.
Yeah, well, I mean that was what he was really good at. He was very good at sort of helping the girls sort of come out of their
Yeah,
shells, kind of bring
absolutely.
out their personalities, and
That
just
was
be
his role.
comfortable on stage and in front of a crowd. And I mean that is why he sort of rightfully earned the title of sensei, even though he wasn't like an official sort of staff room teacher. Although he did say in that interview that those sort of concerns that he wouldn't sort of form those attachments, they sort of evaporated relatively quickly,
Yeah,
and he never once thought after that of quitting. Like he knew that he
yeah,
was in it for the long haul, which was a
absolutely.
really lovely thing to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, the guy's so charismatic, you could form a connection with a rock. For God's sake, he's
Yeah.
you know.
But that was his role in the group, Neon. You kind of have to realize that, yes, his role was kind of like theoretically the teacher or the sensei in the classroom when they did their classroom scenes, but really he was that guy that kind of brought everything together, and like he wasn't afraid to kind of mix it up with them, and make a little bit of fun of them at times, and laugh at them and get them to laugh at themselves. And there was a little bit of kind of what some might kind of say a contentious vibe, but it was always in like good nature. It was always kind of get them to express themselves and get them to kind of get out of their kind of get a little bit mad and kind of like jibe back at him, but all in a very kind of nice and friendly way. Like he used to make fun of Sue, that she was a bit ditzy and a bit kind of dorky, and he said the fool Nakamoto, she's not here, so the test scores have gone up. But it was never mean. Like it was never like mean spirited. It was always like just a little bit of a jibe, but that kind of got the other girls laughing, and then Sue got all embarrassed. And but that was the whole vibe. Like it was never boring. Like he always kind of kept it entertaining and a little bit on edge.
To be fair,
That was the fun part of it.
when you're writing DeLorean on your test answers, I think he's got a point.
Yeah, they all had some pretty stupid answers to some of the Nendo test questions, but it was all good. It was all good banter there. Like look, he just said it there. It was just banter, and it was good fun. Like never mean spirited, always with love. But it was,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you could
what
always tell that he cares really deeply
Oh yeah,
for
absolutely,
the girls.
and that felt so genuine. Like he was there playing a role. He's an actor. He's a comedian, but you always felt that his connection with them and how they vibe together was real.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people identify with that. They're like, this is like they are playing for the cameras a little bit, but the love and respect between them was very real. I felt so. That was cool.
The one thing.
Yeah, there was another thing that he said in his interview that I really do want to bring up, because it was just, it just makes you fall in love with the man even more. And he was talking about the sort of lessons that he was sort of gave the members. So like they would have had, like lessons for like singing, dancing, but then they would have worked with him as well, like on their skits and things like that. And he said that he went out of his way to try and make those lessons as sort of fun as possible. Just because like the dancing and the singing training was so intense that they sort of needed they basically just needed a break. They needed needed something where they could just sort of unwind a little bit, and he sort of wanted to kind of give them that space, just like for the sake of their mental health. And I think that alone kind of shows you the character of the guy, and just how much he genuinely cares about the people that he's working with.
Absolutely.
The guy's definitely made of iron will as well. There's a couple of times when the camera pans on him when the girls are talking, and you can tell that he's just bottling in all this emotion. He actually knows the girls. Obviously, we can only watch from an outside as an audience, but he physically knows them. And when I'm bawling out my eyes live on YouTube for people watching, going, "What the hell's he doing?" How he holds it together at that moment, I have no idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean there was the last homeroom before the 2019 graduation, and it's sort of. And just right at the end, there's just a shot of Mori Sensei just sort of wiping away a tear, and he's saying, "Oh, what a great school," and your heart just breaks because know that like the next day they announced that
It's over.
It's closing.
And they knew, obviously knew before we knew, like, but just to Jamie's point there about like him bringing the fun to it, like we can't forget that like SG in terms of singing, dancing, and doing their shows, it is very intense. This is the Mikiko Mizuno school of dance, and she takes no prisoners when it comes to moves and choreography and getting things right. She's like the ultimate, like, best dance teacher, choreographer in the world. She's the mastermind behind all the Perfumes dances and all Babymetal's dances. So she's been with SG from the beginning as well. Like, let's not forget that Mori is there from the beginning, but they've always had Mikiko right there to work with them, and that's why their choreography for their songs and their live shows are so entertaining. As well as the fun stuff and the speeches and the tears. It's a pretty intense performance. The dance, the singing, and that comes down to her a lot. The production. So
Yeah,
she's another
definitely. I mean,
important element in SG.
yeah, the results speak for themselves. I mean, if you compare, sort of the quality of a Sakura Gakuin performance to a lot of other idol groups, I mean, it's just like completely on another level. And
Oh
you
yeah,
don't get there without some serious work and putting in the time, because it's only going to
dedication.
take you so far. You need to put the work in as well.
Yeah. But
And
they
that's
also made the girls be like leaders in that too. Like you see from I guess the 2017 Nendo or the 2018 graduation, things were getting a little bit rough in the preparation for the shows. And Aiko was being a bit of a brat, which she's known for being. No, no disrespect to Aiko, but then Momoko. There's a video that I love watching. It's from Momoko, where basically she sees as one of the seniors in that year that they're not doing enough to get ready for this graduation. They're sloppy as hell, and it's just not going to work out. And she goes outside of her own character and absolutely scolds the other members and really lets them have it. That they're not doing enough, and if they don't want to train, if they don't want to prepare, that they might as well just go home. She basically said that to them, and then they were scared because they're like, Momoko never shouts at us. She never gets angry. If she's pissed off at us, there must really be something wrong. So they were all like going up to her, crying, apologizing, saying, "No, we'll try hard. Don't don't get upset." And yeah, so they made them take the role, like the role of president or the role of performance chair or production chair. It wasn't just a title. They actually had to work and be the leader in whatever role they were assigned. So
Yeah, they had some real responsibility.
yeah, I think absolutely, and I think they embraced that, and I think maybe Mikiko gave that to them to kind of instill, I guess the values of doing certain role or leadership and stuff like that. So it wasn't just her like, you do everything I say, and I'm the boss. It was like, I'm working with you. We're going to work together, and we're going to put this performance right. And it is going to be what you make of it. Like, if you don't put in the work, if you don't put in the time in preparing for this show, it's just not going to fly. And
Yeah.
I think that was really helped them grow as people. SG is about a period of growth, and I think she helped them grow in the responsibility that she gave them as individuals to, have a stake in their performance. So that was important too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of see other examples of that sort of throughout the history of the group as well. So like, as far back as I think the 2012 Nendo, I think Nene and Marina and Hinata and Rara, they had a bit of a bust up, and it got so bad that Nene wanted to quit, and it took some
Yeah.
sort of like real heart to hearts with Sue as president to sort of convince her
Yeah.
to stay.
Yeah.
And you know even and a couple of years later, I think the reason that they went down to 10 members for the 2014 Nendo is because Moa and Yui, as the leaders that year, were spending half of the Nendo away sort of touring the world
On tour.
with Babymetal. They didn't have time to
Yeah.
sort of fully kind of train up 4 new transfers. So it just kind of goes to show how much work goes in behind the scenes and how much responsibility the girls actually have.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure, for sure. There's always nice examples of that. Like Jamie said, in every year, I think has a moment like that where you see the girls really, really kind of come together and show the best attributes and the reason why we love SG so much. We've got a question from Loon, who just asks, what's everybody's favourite SG songs? He goes, we've talked about the members for quite a bit. He'd like to get to the nitty-gritty of knowing what the songs are. Usually I ask my guests to go first, but you know what? Because you two chatted it off, I'll go first this time. Yeah. I'll put the light back on myself. So I'll just go first. Mine are pretty simple. I know list may vary for the other two, but for me, my graduation toss is a given. Friends is also another one for me. Probably the odd one, just because I can't remember who it was. Was it good? I can't remember, but somebody hammered it on my Twitch and played it every single bloody day, and I can never say the goddamn name of the song either. Ganbare.
Ganbare, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, and they literally all the time, just get me to play it over and over and over. And yeah, eventually I learned to love that song. So if it was good, was it good? Yeah, I think it was good. And I was just like, God damn it, good. Now I like it. I don't know, I like it. So if it was for my top three, it would be them ones. That kind of breaks my heart because I keep thinking of like maybe Mini Patty and stuff like that. But I'm just torn towards the big ones. And I'm just like, yeah, I've got to stick with those three.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go next? Who wants to go next? Go there, Paul.
One of the songs I really like is Heart no Hoshi or Heart of the Earth. It was on Yui and Moa's last year. There's a great music video that they filmed like outside in the woods, and they're like all dressed in kind of like hippie fairy outfits, and there's like a scene where they look through the peephole and it's them in a different world. And the song is really catchy and fun, and I really enjoyed that one. Friends is such a great song, just because of what it meant to SG. Like you had the original version with the original members, and then you had a version where the graduating class of the 2013 Nendo did like an acoustic version on stage, and then Ayami also did a solo version for her kind of solo performances. I think Friends really personifies SG a lot. And I'll go one more. Oh god. There's so many good ones. My graduation toss has to kind of be up there for me as a Sue bro or Sue fan, whatever. I felt she was like her leaving, and that song Graduation Toss is a big song. And it was big that year when she left, and I think they performed it at every graduation since. So it's been in a performance that's big for SG, and a good song, really good song. So yeah, those three.
Cool. We've played it safe, Jamie. Your turn now, man.
I mean, to be honest, all of the songs that you guys have mentioned so far are way up at the top for me as well. I'll mention a couple more, and then I'll explain why my favorite is my favorite.
Sure.
So the ones that I want to specifically mention are Mikanse Silhouette, Jump Up Chisana Yuki, Sayonara Namida, and My Road. All really sort of fantastic songs. But yeah, I mean, I love Friends. I consider that one probably their signature song alongside Yumeni Mukate. But my absolute favorite is got to be My Graduation Toss. It was my introduction to the group, and I just think it's not only is it such a really good song, it's actually a very clever song as well, because like musically, like especially at the start, musically it's a very sort of kind of loud and raucous rock song. It's like, yeah, school's out, we're free. But if you listen to the lyrics, it actually captures really well the sort of the mix and the sort of conflicting emotions that you experience on your last day of school, because you're really sad that everything's sort of coming to an end, but at the same time it's really exciting because you're about to start this whole new journey. But yeah, it's got these really sort of like melancholy lyrics, like, is this going to be the last time that I wear this familiar school uniform? We all need to kind of pursue our own paths now, and I'm going to do that with my head held high, even if it means that I'm going to be alone.
Yeah.
And as you listen to the song, you can actually hear that melancholy, that bittersweetness in the voices of the girls as they're singing as well.
Yeah.
It's just beautifully done. It's such a good song.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's definitely some songs we didn't mention. Song for Smiling being one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's another good song. To be fair, yeah, there's so many that I could go for.
Yeah,
But
there's so many like Wonderful Journey. I mean,
Yeah.
very shoevy. All the mini Patty songs. Mini Patty Phil Hamburger.
yeah,
That's their top one.
that's
So
While we're here, I want to ask you guys, what do you think was the best year for subunits? Which year do you think had the best subunit songs?
should I answer first?
For
Like I would say maybe the year after Sue graduated, but the year before you and Mo graduated. So that kind of the Fab Four, you know,
2013.
so the 2013 Nendo, and I think that album was called Kizuna, was it? If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So that had like a bunch of subunit songs, like not just really good mini Patty songs where you had Moa, Yui, and Hannah. They had some good songs, but you had like Sleep Peace. I think Twinkle Stars maybe were still there and had a song. The Science Club, the name escapes me at the moment. And then you had the Purchasing Club. So yeah, I would say Kizuna there, that 2013 Nendo album was probably the strongest subunit performance. I think, yeah.
See, I was originally thinking 2013, but I think just because you've said 2013, I might go with the year before and say 2012.
12, yeah.
There's a lot of good things there, and like obviously we still had Sue and stuff like that in those ones as well, which is just makes it like even more adorable. Like I forget how cute Tiny Sue is until you see her, and then you read, and then you look at her and you go, oh my god, she was tiny at one point.
Yeah.
The ears forever stayed the same though.
It's crazy, like the difference between like SG graduation Sue in 2013 when she graduated and the person you see now, like the woman you see now as the lead singer of Babymetal, like this like, intense presence on stage, you know, metal goddess, whatever you want to call her, and just performer, and she's like grown so much from the graduation to, you know, the person she is now as a metal singer, a lead singer of Babymetal. So
Yeah.
the growth there is unbelievable, you know.
That's another reason why, because I was actually like, I was thinking of the 4-girl mini party myself until you said 2013, and then another reason why I picked 2012 was obviously Babymetal. I mean, come on.
Come on. So,
For me, the
Sue was
best year
there.
for subunits was 2012 as well.
Okay.
So like you didn't have Twinkle Stars that year, and you didn't have the Purchasing Club either, but you
Okay.
did. But for me, Mini Patty had their best song that year, Miracle Pattyful Hamburger, as did Sleep Peace and the Science Club as well. The Tennis Club were only active for 2 years. 2012, they had their best song.
That's
And
still
also,
wind, right?
2012 was the year that gave us Headbanger as well. I mean, we all claim to be baby metal fans. Headbanger is an important song. Headbanger was on the 2012 album. It was for me, it was
Yeah.
undoubtedly the best year for subunits.
Yeah, when you talk about Babymetal as a subunit, you know, you're not just talking about the subunit of an idol group. You're talking about the most crazy, awesome metal band in the world. So when you add that into the mix, it kind of improves things. And
I'm gonna
Sue is when. Go ahead.
I'm gonna twist it up a little bit as well for the next question. I'm gonna say biggest Sakura Gakuin regret. If you could change one thing, what would you guys changed? So I'll go first. if you
Covering
want.
them sooner.
I'll go first for this one. I wish we would have seen more Ayami. I think having Ayami for just 1 year was tragedy. I would have loved to see another year at least with Ayami as president, but yeah, 1 year wasn't enough.
Yeah. You want to go next, Jimmy?
Yeah, I was about to say, anybody want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. For me, my biggest regret would be not discovering them sooner, because I didn't discover them really until the summer of 2019. So sort of relatively early in the 2019 Nendo, but I spent most of that time sort of catching up with the earlier stuff, because obviously coming to them from Babymetal, that was I went to the earlier stuff first. So by the time I actually caught up to the present day, they were actually nearly done. So so a lot of the stuff that I was sort of discovering was sort of way back in the past. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff that has actually happened and that I've been able to sort of enjoy live and actually kind of see and enjoy in real time. So yeah, I do sort of wish that I'd properly fallen down the foxhole kind of at the same time as you did, Paul. Because I could have had so much longer.
Yeah. Is it the foxhole or the cherry blossom hole? I don't know what you want to call it.
I have always said that the greatest treasure to find at the bottom of the foxhole is Sakura Gakuin.
Yeah.
That's the way that I put it.
I would definitely kind of agree with that. Regrets. It's a tough one. I guess kind of in relation to SG, maybe kind of going away from it a little kind of too much after Yui and Moa left, because the a lot of the stuff that I saw between Kano and Soyo and Momoko and Aiko and Megumi, a lot of their kind of best moments were after Yui and Moa left. So I kind of maybe wish I had kept a little bit closer touch to it in that interim period. What really brought me back into it then, after kind of not being that into SG for a while, was Kano and Momoko appearing for Babymetal. That kind of spiked my interest in SG again. So I kind of wish I'd stayed more closer to it and not maybe moved away for I guess a few years during the middle. In terms of what they could have done, I think there was a transition period after Yui and Moa left, in terms of a completely new group of members. I think maybe as an organization they could have managed what would have been the 2016, no, sorry, the 2015 Nendo, and after that a little bit better. I felt they kind of maybe lost a few of their better moments in that period of time, because it was a bit of a struggle. It could have ended, it really could have ended after the Babymetal era, should we say, and I kind of feel like they staggered into the next era a bit, where that could have been done a bit more smoothly, So I guess a personal regret, and then a regret for what maybe SG could have done to make things better. If we hindsight is 2020, I know, but that was a little bit hazy, that transition period.
Good says his biggest regret is the fact that they're ending this year.
I wonder if I wonder if things might have been made a little bit easier sort of in the 2015 Nendo, had there been 12 members in 2014. I mean, I think they probably did the right thing going down to 10 that year. But say, imagine that someone like Mirena had been a transfer student in 2014 and had 3 years rather than 2. She was already very experienced by the time that she came in. So having that extra year and having her there for the big sort of changeover in 2015, that could have been helpful.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm it could have been just managed a bit better. Maybe members could have come in at different time. Maybe different members, we'll never know. But it felt they were at a bit of a weak point there, and maybe didn't make all of the right decisions. So maybe if they themselves had that time over again, they would have managed that those couple of middle years a bit better.
Possibly. There's loads of people saying obviously their biggest regrets. A lot of them was Loon said he would have changed the 2010 to 2013 Nendos to have the same production quality as the later years. Good said he would have liked a Doki Doki recording with better sound mixing. So there's a few people with a few different things that they wish they would have got. To be fair, also
I've thought of a regret that a lot of us could share, and that is probably not being able to see them perform live in person, like not being able to go to a show.
Yeah. That's going to be the biggest regret for a lot of us, is not being able to. I was actually going to say that as well. With obviously these shows being next month, and obviously everything that's happening with the Olympics and stuff like that. If COVID does play a part, and we are going to see like obviously an empty show or a stream for this, is it out of the question? The possibility? Do you think that they may delay to get people in to end with a crowd? Because to me,
I don't know.
The thought of them performing without those pink flags, without a crowd, it's just heartbreaking. It shouldn't go out. It shouldn't go out that way. I know that obviously it's an industry and money and stuff like that, so it probably will be anyway. But is there a possibility, do you think, or do you think they'll just put their foot down and that'll be it regardless?
They've already announced a date and a venue. Probably suggests that plans are quite far along. I don't know how easy it would be to sort of change at the moment. But yeah, I think that currently, as far as I know, the plan is for them to have a crowd there. Whether or not they'll be able to sort of on the day remains to be seen, because things do seem to be quite fluid at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It would be a real shame if at the final time that Sakura Gakuin are all together that the Fuki are there. That would be a real shame.
It would be.
Okay.
We got another question as well, also from Loon. Loon's just hammering out the questions today. It goes, looking back over the past decade, which moment or moments stand out for the most for you guys? So if you could pick a single moment, what would be your highlight? Who wants to take this one first?
Jimmy, go ahead.
Go on, go for it, Paul.
Paul, you want me to go?
Yeah, I need to think.
Okay. It is very difficult to choose a moment, but I think if you want one moment that I think shows you who Sakura Gakuin are and what they're all about, it's the "Thank You, All My Friends" video from the end of the 2013 Nendo, where the continuing students get sort of called into a room, and then the curtain opens and it's Marina, Nene, Hinata, and Raura there, and they perform "Daydream Believer" and their version of "Friends," and then just sort of like like what they say, what they say to the continuing students. It just sort of shows you really kind of what they're all about. And I mean, you can say the same, for kind of like what Moa said to Sue at Sue's graduation as well. So it's those little moments that just kind of show you how much Sakura Gakuin means, that really sort of stand out for me.
Yeah, no, I like that. Have you thought about anything yet, Paul, or do you want me to go first? Or are you still thinking?
No, it's scary how much I agree with Jamie. We seem to have the same thought process when it comes to a lot of things. Yeah, I mean,
great minds,
great minds think alike. Exactly, brother. What would I say? I mean, the Nendo tests stand out for me. I think those were a lot of fun, and I think you got to see the personalities of the members. You maybe don't get to see that as much when they're just performing on stage, because they're having the banter, like they're doing the questions, and then the answers come out, and Mori pulls the piss out of them, makes fun of their answers, and they react, and then the results get announced, and you see like juniors beating seniors, and the seniors always seem to do terribly in the Nendo tests, and the juniors can laugh at them, and just created a nice vibe. Like I think there was one incident in a Nendo test where Yui scored higher than Sue, and then Yui goes down to Sue and starts kind of laughing at her and dancing around her desk, saying, "Haha, I got a better score than you, even though you're a senior and I'm just a junior." And it just created a nice little vibe, and you kind of saw the friendly rivalries between them. Like you would see, like Aiko trying to get a higher score on her test than Megumi, and being kind of playing mad at each other when they didn't get it, and Moa not doing so well, and she blamed the headbanging on her bad test scores. Must be too much headbanging. That's why I wasn't smart enough to get a high score in the test. So the Nendo tests were big. Sue's graduation was huge. I'm sure there's one more huge moment to come when it all comes to an end. But yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah, mine's pretty much what Paul said. I'm going to be slightly biased a little bit here, and this one's just purely from my own experience more than probably the occasion, although it is a pretty big occasion. But Sue's graduation for me was one of the first reactions I sort of did to Sakura Gakuin, and I kind of went into it not knowing exactly what it was, and came out a changed person. Emotion, tears, just full of love as well for these girls, or like just it was just a weird when you go into that half an hour, 45-minute video and then come back out, you're like, what the hell did I just go through?
Combine that with like Sue's appreciation party as well. She's like the only president to get one, and I mean that's a tearjerker as well.
Yeah, it's a tribute to Sue and the impact she had on it. I mean, if you could pick one member of SG that had the biggest impact on SG and in the aftermath of her leaving and what she went on to do, I think Suzuka is that standout person. If you had to pick one, definitely.
For sure. I would just like to point out
there are a number of other presidents that have had some impact as well. I mean, like you've got to talk about Ayami as well, because she was the one there that sort of
the original.
Yeah, she was like the leader, like
the OG
from the beginning, and a lot of the traditions that they continued all the way through, they came from her. So Ayami had a very big impact as well. But yeah, absolutely. Sure. I mean, Sue's got to be at the top, because I mean nobody else has done what she's done.
No, absolutely. And like I'll give a shout out there, like to the rest of the presidents, like Marina, she was the president in between Sue and Moa, and it was kind of tough for her because Ayami and Sue had left, so you had the two kind of original, I guess, founding members of SG had gone, and she kind of had to lead the Fab Four, as they say, which wasn't the easiest thing to do at times, because some of them kind of butted heads and had their arguments, and it was a bit of a dispute over who should be the president. But I think Marina was the right person there. She did a great job. Moa, absolutely, great president, 100% the right choice for SG at the time. I think the next president was Renan. She got that out of like senior. She was there for so long, and she really deserved to be president that year. I think you had Sarah then, a great president, Aiko. After that was Yuzumi, Ano, and now Kokona. So there was the president is an elite position. Like there was only 10 presidents, and it was an honor to be president, and it was a role of responsibility. So if you were president, you were there for a reason, and I think they always made the right choice when it came to president. So they all deserve, huge respect for their Nendos and how well they did in those times. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's not the sort of appointment of a president hasn't been without its sort of controversy. I'm thinking particularly of the 2018 Nendo, where I think a lot of people might have expected Maya to become president, but it went to Yuzu instead.
I think that was the right decision though, because sorry to cut across you, Jamie, but I think that was the right decision because they actually made Maya like a chairperson of one of the like a I don't know performance chair or something like that in the
He was
previous
the
Nendo
talk
to that.
chairman, I think.
Yeah, talk chairman before she was senior, and I think that was kind of for them to kind of test out whether she would actually be a good president, because she was in line to be the president. Like
Yeah.
seniority and precedent would have said that she was going to be the best president, but maybe they felt she didn't really do a great job at being talk chairperson in the previous Nendo. So they looked at Yuzumi maybe as a safer pair of hands, maybe to put the presidency
Yeah.
in her year. So that was a bit of a shock when the transfer ceremony, and like I think as you said, people expected Maya was going to be the president. It was kind of set up for her. I think SG kind of made an executive decision and said, maybe this is not right for her, and then Yuzumi was given that. So that was a big decision, but I think it was the right decision at the time.
Although I think Kuramoto said in his interview in the 10th anniversary book that the most difficult decision as to who should be president came in 2014 when he was deciding between Yui and Moa. I mean, we say now that we think that Moa was the better choice. I mean, I
Definitely.
would probably say the same as well. But according to him, he found that decision very, very difficult.
Yeah. It was a difficult decision because, like, you think of Yui and Moa as almost being a pair, and to a certain extent, I guess maybe some people might have expected them to be, co-president. But I think they did make the right choice because I think we've spoken about this in, I don't know if it was in Neon's Discord or spoke about it somewhere else, that we kind of expressed that maybe Moa was like the leader in front of the camera and on stage, whereas sorry, that would have been Moa, and then Yui was kind of the behind the scenes leader. Like she was one of the only, I think she was like the only person to be production chair, because she was all about like maybe doing the production and deciding what songs to do, and maybe working hand in hand with Yukiko. So maybe Yui, who's maybe not the greatest on camera or the most confident on camera or the most expressive, she was kind of in the engine room, being the leader behind the scenes. Whereas when they needed to perform and be energetic and I guess entertain, that's where Moa would shine. So maybe they kind of shared the leadership role, but they are a band, they are they are a group, they are entertainment, they're about performing. So that's a stronger part of what the people see. So it made more sense that Moa was the leader then in that sense. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Moa definitely had sort of more of the charisma to kind
absolutely.
of inspire confidence and leadership than perhaps Yui did. But yeah, I think they did get it the right way around, because I think
Yeah.
even like, way before their senior year, Yui was the one that was writing their set lists.
Yeah, yeah. She definitely had a knack for that early on, and many
Yeah,
people speculate that that's kind of the role she's doing now. Whereas Moa is the ultimate performer and natural entertainer. So I think it made sense that she led the line in terms of what we see from SG. The dancing, the performing, the being the lead talk person in Low Girl. Um, she was kind of the face of it, shall we say? Whereas I guess Yui was kind of a Koba figure in the background, kind of calling the shots and helping. I think they very much worked together. So
yeah.
yeah, I feel there
Yeah, I
was
mean, I think I remember.
almost a yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember Saki S. Sort of early on in the 2015 Nendo, saying that Yui had sort of sat down with her and taught her how to write set lists. Because she tried doing one in the
Yeah.
2014 Nendo, and it wasn't a very good choice of songs, she said. And Yui said, no, 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 you can't just stack it full of emotional songs. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
have some upbeat and fun ones in there as well.
yeah,
And these
yeah,
these are the places in the set where you need to have the high energy, the fun songs. So yeah, Yui really did know how to write a set list, and she passed on that
yeah.
knowledge before she left.
Yeah, I think definitely, and even like further to that, there's an interview recently with Yuzumi and Sarah. I think they did like a radio thing, and they actually mentioned that Yui hasn't changed at all, and that she still talks to the members and still gives them advice. That kind of leads me to believe that even though Yui is kind of left SG, she's still a bit, kind of involved in not officially, but giving advice and imparting her own knowledge and experience on the younger members.
She's still a senpai.
Yeah, she's still she is senpai. She still loves her kohai, and she's I think definitely still has that influence on SG. So that's positive, you know.
Are we good? I'm just waiting. All right.
Me and Jim.
I'm just letting you two. Right? I'm not letting you two go at it. Yeah, no. I'll carry on with the questions quick because we're the chat's going obviously quite fast and we've got a few questions. Good. We did touch on this before, but good goes. Question for both the guests. Apparently, Amuse will have something new and different instead of SG. What do you guys think? Will this be something new, like I don't know, more girls, less? I don't know what that says. I do apologise. Good, boys, not in school, etc. I mean, we did touch on it before, but what do you guys think that the next finger that they will pull out of their butt is?
I think we covered that already. We spoke about.
Yeah, we did sort of touch on it.
We did touch on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not out with the realms of possibility that they'll do something new for their younger talent a few years down the line. I can't see it being a revival of Sakura Gakuin though. It'll be something else. It'll have a different kind of concept. But yeah, they could well sort of launch something new, but I don't think it'll be the same.
Oh, yeah. Also, I'm gonna criticize like every single person in my chat right now because the last time I was live and I swigged out of a bottle, by the way, every single person in my chat absolutely terrorized me for swigging out the bottle. Paul has now taken continuous sips out of that milk bottle, and not one person in chat has said a goddamn thing. You're all hypocrites.
Hydration is important. Important to stay hydrated, and it's for my well-being. So
we got another question as well.
Also, it's not Paul's Twitch channel. We abuse Neon, but Paul's a guest here.
Oh, it's Paul's podcast. What you're on about? Podcast. We've got another question. He goes, if you could stand in for Mori at the upcoming graduation, what would you tell the girls in your speech? Don't need the full speech, just a brief idea.
I might go first on this. I mean, I guess he's not really going to tell them anything that they don't already know, because I mean, he's been working with these girls for so long, and they probably had these conversations multiple times themselves. So he's just going to say what he says to them all, like that. He really enjoyed the time that they spent together, and that he hopes that they'll kind of I guess keep striving for their dreams. Like SG is a period of growth, so they're all expected to go on and have their career after their post SG career. So he's just going to wish them well and thank them for giving him so many great memories and having so many good times. So I guess that wasn't the question though. Is what would you say to them? I would just say the same thing. I would just be like supportive and say like, thanks for the time that we spent together, and I wish you all the best of luck for the future. If you ever need anything, give me a call. I'm still going to be your sensei, even though SG is over. And that's what he's done for all of his graduates. He's always kind of offered to be, the person that they can call or seek advice from, long after they've graduated, and if they want to still appear on radio shows and still have the crack and have a bit of fun with him. He's quite willing to be a friend to them as well as their sensei. So I think so. Makes sense.
Yeah. For me, I think I'd just tell them thank you. I'd say thank you for the memories, for all the years, not just them girls as well. Just tell them to not be sad. It's a new chapter in their lives, in their careers as well. I know a lot of these girls are going to go off to do amazing things. That's what they're there for, to be super ladies. So this is not the day of them stopping being super ladies. This is the day they go on to become super ladies.
New beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now it's the time that all the time that they've spent there to go and use that and be the best super lady they can possibly be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so Mori Sensei always sends the graduates off with like a little word of advice that's sort of specifically tailored to them, and I would want to do the same thing in his position, but I obviously can't say what that advice should be because I obviously don't know the girls as well as he does. But I really want somebody to say during the last show, and I think Kuramoto probably will. Was that I want someone to sort of say to the girls, the staff, and most importantly the fans, to just sort of remember the teachings of Sakura Gakuin. Like always, always sort of chase your dream. Do your best in everything that you try to do. The most important things in life are your friends. Like you're never going to achieve anything on your own. So work with the people around you. So I think he'll ask people to sort of remember those lessons and apply them to their own lives. And if they remember that and they remember the music, then then Sakura Gakuin will always sort of exist in some sort of small way.
Yeah. I think the actual correct answer to that question is that we really wouldn't say anything because, we don't know these girls as people. What we could say to them wouldn't really have much of an impact on them. It's much better coming from Mori because he knows them inside out. He's worked with them. What he says, as you said, as Jamie said, his comments and his advice is always like tailor-made to each individual member, and that's based on his knowledge of them, whereas we don't have that same knowledge. So I don't think we would be able to say much of any value or anything that they'd really pay attention to. So yeah, I would take my ass off the stage again and send Mori back on. I don't want to stand in his spot. I'm not worthy of that position. So
let
Mori do the talking.
All we could really do is some generic message to sort of say, remember your time in Sakura Gakuin, remember what you learned here, and
they'd be like,
use it to do amazing things.
We're like, shut up, you stupid Westerner. We want to hear what Mori has to say.
So who's this guy?
Who's this dude telling us what we should do? What has he done with his life? He's just a loser.
For all those in chat as well, and if you're watching this on YouTube, this will not be the last Sakura Gakuin episode that we'll do. Like I said, obviously we've got a show tomorrow, and we will do another one probably after the last graduation, so we can all come together, talk about it, and give our thoughts. Maybe a review or something like that of the graduation, and talk about how much we enjoyed it and stuff like that as well. So, and obviously one more episode before that. If obviously these two episodes do well, what I may do in the future is I might do like in a year from now. It's scary when I talk about things in like a year from now because I could, knowing me, I'll be dead in a ditch or something. But a year from now, we'll come back again as well, and we'll come back and review it and talk about the girls and stuff like that. Maybe see how their lives progressed as well, the last graduates, and what groups they're all in and stuff like that. So even though it's the end of SG as we know it pretty soon, it will not be the end of content that we'll be pumping out for this show as well. So you'll still plenty more left to go. Loon asks, in 3 words or less, why is Yui the queen of SG? Cuteness, tomatoes, and pigtails. There you go. There's my 3 words.
Okay, just because it's Loon, she is not.
Oh.
Ding, 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 ding. Round 1.
So,
that was perfect.
Paul's,
Oh my God,
Paul's happy.
yeah.
Paul's happy now because he's been waiting all podcast to do that himself, and he's just like, oh,
No,
no,
it was
shit, I
not.
know.
I'm a much nicer person than that. What was the question?
In 3 words, why is Yui the queen of SG?
I'll pass on that question.
No, nothing nice to say at all.
No comment there.
I mean,
No comment there.
I will
There
say
you go,
something
that's-
nice about. I will say something nice about Yui.
I will too.
It
I'll let
seems
Jamie
like
go first.
of all the members, she probably loves Sakura Gakuin the most. I think it probably means more to her than a lot of the other members, and that is saying quite a lot because we've already spoken about sort of how many individual moments there are where you just see how much these girls value being a part of this group and what the songs mean to them. So to say that that one member in particular is the one that loves it the most, I mean that's no small thing.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, I think although I do believe Yui enjoyed, touring with Babymetal and working with Babymetal when she did, it was always more so for her that Babymetal would be a kind of promoter for SG, and that her main motivation for being in Babymetal was that this is going to open more eyes and open more minds to SG, because as Jamie said, she loved SG so much, and it broke her heart to leave it, because that was her kind of comfort zone. Like she left SG, I think it was in 2015.
Yeah.
2014, and she left in 2015. So I don't think it being kind of in Babymetal meant the same for her after she left SG, because it was always SG first. So I would say definitely she loved SG the most. I think she was more important to SG maybe behind the scenes rather than what we saw on screen. It was telling that she was the only production chair, because I think she almost was like a second to Mikiko in terms of production. And I think that's probably what her calling is. We always wonder about Yui left Babymetal to pursue her dream. I feel that is kind of her dream, not to be the person on stage, because she's not the most natural performer, but rather to be kind of a behind the scenes kind of producer, choreographer. That's more of her kind of thing. So I think the best part of Yui in SG we probably didn't see, because she was kind of the influencer behind the scenes. But to what Jamie said, but nobody loved SG more than Yui. So she's like the ultimate Fukai. So
I mean, you can just sort of tell how much. You can just sort of tell how painful it was for Yui and Moa as well to have missed their last opportunity to perform at the Tokyo Idol Festival in 2014, because they were out supporting Lady Gaga. I mean, it was so sort of painful for them that they specially filmed a video message to be played during the set. But they really wanted to be there. I think it crushed them that they missed so much of their final year.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, Babymetal kind of took away maybe some of Yui's kind of best moments in SG, in the sense that they were so preoccupied with getting Babymetal off the ground and going overseas and touring and building that brand, that maybe came at a cost of maybe them not being present there for their final 2 years in SG, which are always the most formative years for a member, is their senior year and the year before that. They had to be away for long periods of time during that, focused on Babymetal. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Babymetal was the was the vehicle that promoted SG, and Yui was focused on that. But at the same time, it kind of took them away from SG as well. So maybe we did.
I've got to disagree
Yeah.
with you on that one wholeheartedly. There's so
Yeah.
much there's so much you've said there that doesn't ring true for me personally.
Go on,
I mean,
so.
we're not saying that they didn't love everything that they've done with Babymetal. There's sort of, again, like mixed emotions there as well. Like they, like they loved the opportunity of being able to tour the world and play in front of these massive crowds, but at the same time they are missing Gakuin as well.
Yeah, yeah. There's like I said, there's the things I don't agree with. From what Paul just said is the first thing about obviously Yui liking SG more than Babymetal. I honestly don't believe that for a second. I believe she put.
That's the truth. She said that. She said it herself. That SG was her first love.
Oh yeah, everybody has a first love. For freaking, I loved my girlfriend, the very first girlfriend I ever had with all my heart. You know.
Be careful.
But then you.
Mrs. Leon could be watching.
Yeah, but then you move on when you say these things because you do you do fall in love and stuff like that. But I don't think that she liked Babymetal any less than Sakura Gakuin, and I think that she had plenty of great moments in Sakura Gakuin. Yes, the Babymetal definitely took more time away from that as it was, and there's definitely a come and go relationship. There was obviously the popularity of Babymetal was was definitely on the rise during that time, and definitely probably took a bit of time with her. But to turn around and say that Babymetal took Yui and took those moments away, and Yui just seemed. I don't know. There's just something about that whole statement. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think I would say the same for Moa in the sense that, like those 2 years of SG, of Babymetal in 2014 and 2015, it did take them away from their last 2 years, to a certain extent. Maybe when we watch back SG, we see, maybe Yui and Moa's highlights were more so in their first 3 years of SG rather than their last two, where their last two were more Babymetal focused, and then their first three were like you had the super cute, boy moi period where you really saw their energy and saw the best of them. Whereas in their last 2 years they were working on Babymetal, and that took away their I guess them giving all of themselves, giving their full energy to SG. So it's, as I said, a double-edged sword. Like, we wouldn't have known about them if it wasn't for Babymetal. But if they didn't have Babymetal work to do in their last 2 years, we would have seen like them even more, and seen probably them shine even brighter. As bright as they shone, we would have seen them shine even brighter if they had just SG as their primary focus for their formative years there. That's what I mean. I'm not. It's not a knock on Yui or Moa. It's just what they had to deal with at the time, because they had to strike while the iron was hot for Babymetal. They had to go on the road. They had to promote. If they didn't do that in 2014 and 15, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't have been what they were or what they are, depending on who you ask. So yeah, it was a necessary. They had to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody could have predicted that Babymetal would blow up in the way that it did. I mean, that was a 1 in a million shot, and it would have been, just madness
Absolutely.
to not try and capitalize on that. And unfortunately, it meant that they weren't able to spend as much time with Sakura Gakuin as they probably would have done otherwise. I mean, sort of already talked on. I've already sort of mentioned that I think the reason that there were 10 members in 2014 rather than 12 was because Yui and Moa weren't there to help train the transfer in, so they just didn't bring in as many.
Yeah. So, like, as you said, Babymetal was a 1 in a million opportunity for them to not just have an SG career, but also to build their name as a global band. And like Moa says in recent interviews, Moa talks about her time in Baby Metal and how that she did have to make sacrifices over the years to make Baby Metal work, especially when things went a bit south in 2018 where they lost Yui, and that was pretty devastating, and they had to reinvent themselves. So I think that might be partially what Mo is referring to when she talks about that we didn't need to make sacrifice to make Baby Metal work. But I think in the long run, it was the right thing to do, because now, like, they're however many years Sue was removed from SG. She graduated in 2013. It's 2021 now, and she still has a career in the music business, and can have as many more years as she wants, really. And the same for Moa. So they really did need to spend that time and take themselves away from SG to build Baby Metal. But it's been worth it over the years.
Yeah.
It stood the test of time.
Yeah, I mean, ask yourself: if you were in their positions, would you have done anything different? Because I don't think I would have. I would have done it exactly in the way that they did. Seize that opportunity and actually, go for it.
Oh yeah, there was like, can you imagine if they didn't build on the hype of the buzz that Baby Metal got, and they didn't go overseas, they didn't do Sonosphere. Like, imagine if you take away the 2014 tours from Baby Metal, what do Baby Metal come? Do they become that sensation, or do they just fade into the darkness after SG finishes? If they didn't make that move, I don't think Baby Metal like post SG would have been anything close to what they are now. So that they needed to do that at the time. So I don't for one second say that they did something wrong, or that they shouldn't have done it, but it did have a consequence in terms of their attention, or the amount of focus that they could put on SG in their last 2 years. I think that's what we're saying. We're not saying anything bad about Yui and Mo. We're just saying that the last 2 years was a consequence of having to work with Baby Metal and build that brand as well. Yeah. So what's your response to that, Neon?
No, I think you've pretty much covered everything that you wanted to do. We got another question that goes: what's your guys' favorite shuffle group or shuffle unit?
Ooh.
That's one for Jamie.
Good question. I don't know, mate. It's quite tricky, but I mean, you've got to give a mention to the very first shuffle unit where Marina sang Doki Doki Morning with Ayaka and Irie on either side of her, just because it was the complete inverse of what Baby Metal usually is. So, like, instead of having the taller girl in the middle and the two little ones on the side, you had tiny little Marina, and then Ayaka and Irie, who were both really tall. So yeah, just sort of that juxtaposition made that one sort of quite memorable.
That's what I was going to say.
But yeah,
as well.
it's difficult to pick because they haven't done shuffle units all that much.
No, it's rare.
Which is sort of a shame.
If you could do a shuffle unit now, who would you have in it?
Ooh.
This is easy for
I
me.
mean, based on the current 8 members.
Yeah.
I mean, who among us wouldn't want to see a heavy music club shuffle unit with Miko in the center and Yume and Sakia
Exactly.
on the side positions?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Who wouldn't want to see that?
Well,
Miko's probably got the voice to be able to hold the song, and Yume and Sakia have got the energy to do the scream and dance.
Yeah, like Miko for me is the only current member of SG that I would want to see, even attempt to, I guess, cover Sue or mimic Sue, because she is an Ash graduate as well. She's someone who's very talented. She was probably had more talent coming into SG than anyone else in that class, or even since then.
She was kind
She's
of a
known to
ringer, wasn't
be.
she?
She was a ringer. She was like, it was, you were bringing in this person who already has this credentials of as being an Ash graduate, and if you're come through Ash, like you're pretty much on your way to being a legend already. And she was someone who kind of looked up to Suzuka in a big way. Sue was a huge influence for her, so it'd be fitting to see Miko, an SG or an Ash graduate, an admirer of Sue, maybe doing a bit of a shuffle unit thing, having Sakia and Yume with her would be perfect. I think that's the only answer to that question that I have. So
I just want to say that we're going to be winding down and stuff like that soon. If you've got any questions for obviously Jamie and the Paulmeister in chat, now's the time to do it. And obviously we'll flick off a few more questions before about winding down. Do you guys have any more thoughts as well before we sort of go to end it? Is there anything that you two want to bring up that hasn't been said so far?
Jamie,
We've said quite a lot, haven't we?
I think we've covered most things. Yeah.
One thing we haven't said is favorite Nendo.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Want to start with your own question?
Sure. In terms of the sort of the music output, I think the 2013 album had the strongest sort of kind of full group songs. But in terms of the characters in the group, I think the 2016 Nendo was the best. Because by that point you had like all kind of all four members of 1-5. They were still kind of relatively young, and they were all a bit kind of goofy.
Yeah.
You had Sarah and Morena up the top, all kind of leading everything. You still had Aiko and Megumi there, sort of at each other's throats as well. There was a lot of
in a good way.
Yeah, in the best possible way. But yeah, I just think just in terms of the characters that were around at that time, the 2016 Nendo was very, very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. How would I answer that? I would say maybe this is going to sound weird, but maybe the 2011 Nintendo. I'm going to go even further back because it had I think all of the original members, and you still had Ayami and you still had Sue there. So for me, I think of we talked about the eras in SG about being the first half and the second half. When you have Sue and Ayami there, you have your all-star players in your original era, which is the era that I came into SG on. Jamie talks about coming in 2019, so he's probably has more of an affinity towards the second era, whereas I guess I came in 2014, so I kind of focus more on the original era. So having Ayami there, having Sue there, having Hinata, Marina, Raura, Nene. I think you also had Hannah there at the time. She had come in, or maybe my timeline is getting crossed over there. But I think at that stage you had the mini Patty had transferred over. Maybe that's wrong, but yeah, I would say 2011 Endo because you still had Sue and Ayami there, and for me, this might sound biased, but those were the two founding members of SG, and probably overall, two of the top 5 most important members of the whole SG thing. So yeah, I'll go with that, Nendo.
We go with that, Nendo. Jens says he predicts a huge smile on Portal's face in a second, but the chat would like you to flex and show us your favorite piece of SG merch that you guys have.
I was searching before the start, but what I got here, this isn't even a flex because I actually got this piece of merch for free. I was at the 2015 Babymetal concert in Berlin, Germany, and one of the Japanese fans I just got chatting to, and was talking about like SG and how much I liked SG. So he basically gave me an SG towel, like a 50-year anniversary special that he got at the Tokyo Idol Festival in 2014, in 2015. So that was just something that was given to me as a gift, and I still have it. That's really cool. I guess merch, little flags that I've got with SG orders over the years. So I don't have a whole lot of SG merch, I'll be honest. The coolest thing is the towel that I got, because that's just shows the generosity of the baby metal community and how cool SG is, and just little bits of flags. Oh yeah, I have the original flag, and that I actually got that as a gift as well. That's another baby metal related story. I was at the Wembley concert, and it's kind of a sad story as well. One of my friends from Japan had a little mini flag, and after I came out of the concert, I was so buzzing after Wembley, and he just gave me a little SG flag. I was like the coolest thing to get just in that moment. Like, you imagine walking out of a concert, you're so buzzing, and one of your friends gives you a nice little gift. That's really cool. The sad side of that story is that that person has since passed away, quite tragically. So that was an emotional thing as well, you know. So yeah, not so much flexing, but meaningful SG merch, I would say. Not valuable or cool, but just stuff that has a story behind it. It's the coolest, like, and those are the coolest pieces of merch. Let's be real. We all have maybe bits of baby metal merchandise or bits of SG merchandise, but the stuff that's most important to us is not the stuff that costs the most. It's the little gifts that you get from people and the story that comes behind it. Those are the most important things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So good, and Paul has flexed as well as given us an emotional story, as well as a story behind the story as well. That was pretty great. That was pretty
it's
great.
Real, man. It's absolutely genuine. So
yeah,
take it as you want.
Yeah.
But
I feel sorry for Jamie now. He's about to go second. How do you top that?
I don't think I can. I mean, I've got a couple of little bits and bobs of SG merch. Like, I've obviously got a couple of these classic flags, which everybody knows and loves. I've got a couple of like the little like lapel pins that the girls wear on their uniforms. They're really cool. I think I've got a couple of t-shirts somewhere, but I have just looked out this little thing, which I received standing in the queue for the Babymetal show in Glasgow last year. You might not be able to see it very well because my lighting is shocking, but this is a little sticker, Babymetal sticker, in the colours of the Irish flag.
I wonder where you got that.
And in the bottom corner, there's a little Twitter handle that says Suzuka Yui Moa. So, Paul, you and I briefly met at the show in Glasgow.
I got a whole box. I got a whole box of them beside me. I was going to hand them out at the Spanish shows last year, but they got cancelled. So, the gifts you get from fans are the best. Like, if people really want the flex, whether I should have or not, bought the SG 10th anniversary watch, which I'm going to get, is going to be delivered on Wednesday. It was stupidly expensive. It cost like £300, but I just went ahead and got it. So there's your blood that you wanted, your flex. You finally got it out of me. There you go.
I was saying before we came live that I think I got the like the set of student IDs that they started selling at the beginning of the 2020 Nendo, but I cannot for the life of me figure out where they've gone. I was looking for them just a couple of days ago because I've recently moved and I was sure that they were in one of the boxes, but they've not turned up. So they may be lost to time, which is quite sad.
Oh no. So, well, there we go. We're going to wind down. Lucky says, "Does Neon have any SG merch?" Unfortunately, I do not. I feel so bad now compared to these two.
You have that lovely backdrop that you're showing us right now.
Yes, this is actually my wall painted. That's it. Looks like this.
He has an SG room
Yeah.
with the logo painted on the
There you go,
wall.
Neon. You're more of a fan than Paul is.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I wasn't. It was weird because, like I said, I went to the Babymetal gig in Manchester, and I think was it both of you maybe were there, or one of you was there.
I was only at Glasgow.
Oh, it was Paul. It was Paul. Of course, it's Paul.
It's quicker to name the Babymetal shows that I haven't been to
So,
than it is to list the ones that I have. So there you go.
so yeah.
Like anything before 2014, you were there. Anything after 2014, you were there.
Not all of them, but
Most of them.
most of the biggest ones.
So,
There's your flex in chat. You're hungry.
there's your
I'll
flex
give it
as
a-
well. Double flex. Right, guys. Like I said, we're going to wind it down now. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to say a big thank you to Paul as well for always coming on. And also another big, massive thank you as well to Jamie as well for coming on and gracing us with your knowledge as well. So he doesn't look half as mean on the camera as he does as he does in my chat.
Normal
Keep-
service will be resumed soon.
Keyboard warrior there.
Keyboard warrior.
All the times I said that I'm a lovely person in real life,
So
you didn't believe me.
I was going to say that the chat's been rather nice tonight without Jamie being in there, so it's a nod now.
Now you see that Jamie has what it takes to be a mod on your Twitch. So that's what I want to see come from this. I want to see Jamie get his mod role on Twitch.
There would be chaos. And even Jamie's freely admitted that he's like, I would not be able to contain myself.
If I would find it funny to ban someone, I would do it.
I have a gift for Jamie, and I want Neon to turn up whatever sound he needs to so everyone can hear Jamie's favorite thing on Twitch.
No, I know what you're gonna do. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Huh?
Stop it. No, don't do it. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna do those damn bagpipes.
Oh, just have a listen. This is your favorite thing in the world. Jan's letting me down here.
It's because I'm on the screen for my podcast, so no alerts go through on this screen. So screwed.
You totally ruined my thing.
Yeah, saved by the podcast.
You were supposed to hear bagpipes.
All alerts are
I am
off.
so glad that I didn't. I was this close to telling everybody to unsub, but I don't need to do it now.
Oh, well, it's not my fault he's playing bagpipes. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Thank you so much. And saved by the screen indeed, Lucky. Saved by the screen indeed. Everybody, have a fun time. I hope you enjoy it. And we'll see you soon for another episode of this podcast. Hopefully, relatively soon. Like I said, I got a couple of ideas for a couple of more SG episodes later down the line. Probably, obviously, once it's officially ended, next couple of days after that event. And then, like I said, in a couple of months down the line, we'll see what happens, if there's any news, or we can reminisce and see how the girls are doing or something like that. So, plenty of content left as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're watching this on YouTube as well, if you've made it this far on YouTube, because it's like 2 hours long. If you have made it this far, don't forget to smash a like as well and subscribe. It lets me know that you enjoy this content and all the podcasts and stuff like that. Now, we are into double figures, so let's keep going. And we'll see you guys all next time. Bye, guys.
See you.
See you.
Bye.